Hey everybody, today we're working on a 2005 Toyota Corolla. It was making a bunch of noise and vibrations, especially when driving like 25 miles per hour or more. It had been doing it a couple years. I couldn't figure out what it was, and finally realized it was a wheel bearing. And so we just took the rear wheel bearing out on this side yesterday. It was super hard, like rusted in there so tight. This car had come from Michigan, where they salt the roads a lot and cause corrosion and rust. Finally got that one out. Now we're going to be doing the other side. So we're going to show you the process we used, how we got that stuck bearing assembly and hub, how we got it out of the car. So I'm making this video hopefully to help some of you if you have a stuck hub assembly like this, and also just for my own reference in case I ever need to do this again. So first thing I will mention is when I googled the sound I was hearing, I was getting results that said probably a wheel bearing. And my brother-in-law works a lot with cars, and he and I jacked up every wheel, and what you do, you grab either side of the wheel and you shake it back and forth, you try to rock it, and then you grab top and bottom of the wheel and you do the same thing, try to rock it. And these wheels were totally solid, they weren't rocking at all. So that was like a year and a half ago, so we decided must not be a bearing. But I couldn't figure out anything else that it could be. So I drove it for, it's been a few years already with this sound. So the one thing we didn't check, and that I found out later you need to check, basically jack your car up and try spinning the wheel, see if you hear anything. Also, you could take the tire off and try spinning the bearing itself. So this is the brand new bearing and it's super smooth, right? Let me show you my old bearing and what it sounds like. And you could basically, while it was on the car, we could spin it and hear that there was something wrong. Also, my brake shoes were also rubbing a little bit. So I'm replacing brake shoes, I'm replacing the drum, and also the bearing assembly, which includes the hub. So let's go look at that bad bearing. So here's the first hub we got off. So if I try to spin this, it will hardly spin. It like locks up. It's all stuck. Like on the new one, you saw it just spinning freely. So we knew for sure it was a bad bearing. So that surface right there, that round surface, that's what was rusted on. Here's the 4 bolts. This is the circular part we were trying to pound with a pipe to pound it out. Didn't work. So here's the second hub we're trying to get off. So the things we tried on the first one, we tried just hitting it from the back. So if you look there in the center is the bearing, and there's 4 bolts around the outside. So we took those 4 bolts out, and then we tried putting a pipe on that center part and just pounding, trying to pound it out. And we pounded so hard and so long, and nothing budged. So then we tried heating it up with a cutting torch around the outside and pounding some more. Nothing happened. We also tried leaving those bolts in a little bit, so they're still there now. And we tried pounding on those bolts and nothing happened. So the method that worked, you can kind of see basically the lug nut bolts, normally they're sticking out through here. You can just pound them with a hammer a few times and they'll pop out the back. And then we bought these bolts at the hardware store, put those through with a washer and a nut, and line them up back here and fill in the back. Make sure you're pressing against steel, but what you're doing is you're going to bring this washer and this nut up and press against this hub, and you do that with 4 or 5 different bolts around the outside, and you press it off. And when we did that, we tighten them up, pound it a little bit, like pounding on the sides of this, then tighten them up, and it started coming, and that's how we eventually got it off. Another method I'm trying today is attach a pipe wrench. I'm going to hit the end of the handle with a sledgehammer, see if that can bump that out. We have to get new bolts because we messed the threads up on the other side, so they're not working over here. This one, we actually twisted the head off. That's how tight it is on there. So we might need to get hardened bolts. Is your bolt loose? Yeah. Alright, so we just got it off. Sorry, the lighting is bad. So here it is. We found that using 3 bolts worked really well. And we just kept tightening them as tight as we could and pressing it off that direction. So tightening, the nuts and the washers up against there and pushing it off. You can see all this rust, and there's about a 1/2 inch surface that contacts and makes rust, especially if the car's from the East Coast, that you have to get off. So we would tighten them up as tight as we could and then pound it with the sledgehammer, then tighten them some more, pound it with the sledgehammer. It was also helpful to put a pipe wrench on, put it where there's reinforcement, right where the stud goes through, and then beat on the pipe wrench. And it took us probably a few hours, but it finally came off. Now we'll clean it up, clean up the flange that it came off of, and put the new one on. That's all the rust we were trying to get through. Alright, so we got the hub assemblies and the bearings all put back together, put the car back together, and that was the issue. It ran much quieter after that. So very happy to get that taken care of. The biggest challenge again was just getting those hub assemblies off. So hopefully the tip of using the bolts helps you. If it does, give the video a thumbs up and comment below if you have any other tips for other people dealing with this issue. And also let us know if you have any questions. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.